We actually have another great interview lined up because Bob Schneider, let me tell you, I have a world of respect. I have an immense amount of respect for this man right here.
And not just because he's from Colorado, I might add.
Well, that plays, in large part to that respect, but we got Bob Schneider up here with us. Prevail is
yes.
the company.
Yep.
An amazing firearms instructor, longtime SWAT dude in Denver PD. We're basically from the Denver area. So, I mean, you were there years ago protecting the locals, keeping things safe, when crazy stuff went down. You learned a lot through that experience. But like I said, you're also an incredible instructor.
Thank you.
Instruct at Gunsite.
Yes.
And not just anybody can do that. Gunsite is a world-renowned training facility, an innovator in the training industry. Really doing a lot of things early on when nobody else was. Founding, in Jeff Cooper, founded by Jeff Cooper.
Right.
So I think we're going to be talking quite a bit about that here today. So anyway, it's our honor and pleasure to have you, Bob. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah,
appreciate that very much.
And Bob has been our instructor, I might add. We've taken a class from Bob.
That's right.
So, yeah. Bob, here's what I'd love to start. Jeff Cooper. It's a name that some people have probably at least heard. Who's this Jeff Cooper dude? What's it all about? Why do we care?
Yeah. Well, Jeff Cooper really was a great man. Really kind of started everything in the personal defense, personal shooting, or personal defense shooting industry. Started in the late 60s, Big Bear, California. They were doing unrestricted competitions. Kind of what we look at IPSC today or IDPA. They were doing the same thing years and years ago. And he was actually one of the founders. Actually, I think he was the first president of the IDPA. And him and his wife, Janelle, lovely lady, she's still alive today, drove around, found a place in northern Arizona, outside of Paulden, Arizona, up by Prescott, Arizona.
Yep.
Kind of an area between Phoenix and Flagstaff.
Yep.
So they're kind of in between. It's a great place. Opened up a shooting class up there, a shooting school. It was called Gunsite Ranch. The original name of the institution or the training class was the American Pistol Institute. Started that in 1976, way before all you guys were born. Yeah. And really that was the beginning of defensive shooting.
Right.
He is the inventor of the modern technique, something we still hold close to our heart, modern technique. And I've had an opportunity to train there for the last 25 years. I'm in my 26th year. Just a great place to go. Everybody needs to go to Mecca, as we call it, to really train there. If you're into this type of shooting, really that is kind of the place to go. And everybody has kind of copied or emulated what they do.
Well, let's talk first about just this premise, because, I mean, I don't know what Cooper's original vision was, but what it kind of turned into was a destination training facility. Where at some point there's only so many people who live in Phoenix and Prescott and, Flagstaff. And so because it was so unique, because it was so different, you essentially created a place where everyone was flying into to go get training.
Right.
And traveling to. And obviously, as you said, there's plenty of copycats now, but let's talk a little bit about the value of that. Like when you talk to someone, you say, hey, you should come down to Gunsite. Your average student has just come through some concealed carry class, they got the permit. In their mind, they're thinking, you want me to do what?
Yeah, right.
You want me to get up a plane? I have to drive more than an hour to go to a gun class and spend money and stuff?
Yep.
What do you?
It is a big ask for many new gun owners or shooters or defensive-minded people.
Let's talk about the value there. I mean, for us, that's part of our world.
Right.
But for people who are viewing who maybe have never left their own local gun range, what's that about? Why do we push that so heavily?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So Gunsite is the oldest privately run shooting school for people like you and I. Law enforcement, military, they've been doing it for years. But Jeff really started this for people like you and I, the average citizen. Yes, we've had a lot of police officers. That's actually where I was first exposed to Gunsite as a police officer. A lot of military folks, but Jeff really wanted to put that together for the law-abiding citizen. And that is actually part of their motto, is to provide law-abiding citizens with the best techniques that they can do to keep themselves alive. Yes, you can go to other schools. Gunsite does some satellite programs, but really when you're thinking about going to the place that basically everything has started from, that is the place. It is a great, tremendous financial burden. I'll agree with that, or financial commitment, I should say. But really, if you think that taking your personal defense personal, or have it close to your heart, really that is a great place to go. Now, again, there's other great places. Don't get me wrong. I've been part of those over the years, but that is really the place, and there's really no other place like it. It's like I said, it's going to the place where kind of everything started from. If you want to go to the heart of it.
It's like the Holy Land.
Well, like we say, we call it Mecca.
Yep.
Yep. That's the place where it all started.
Well, you're going to get what you pay for when it comes to training.
Yep.
And it's really easy to say, well, there's a $500 class here, there's a $500 class there, but even with travel and things, you're going to find that if you're willing to go to the best places, you're going to get the best instruction. And some people balk at that price. You talked about it being a financial investment, but for me, it's like, well, we drop a lot of cash on things like gear, on the new scope for the whatever and the this and the that, but just saving up a little bit of cash so you can go and get that training. I mean, in most metros in this country, you can exhaust pretty quickly the local opportunities for training.
Yep, and there's some great ones out there.
Sure, we're in Denver. Yeah. I mean, there's some good stuff
Lots
there.
Lots of great opportunities.
You could spend a year or two getting a lot of good instruction there, but at some point, eventually, you're going to say, I probably got to get on the road now.
And it's wise because, I mean, if you only train with the same people over and over and over, I mean, can you become a good shooter? Absolutely, you can. Are there guys local? I mean, Bob, you're local to Denver, so, I mean, you can take a student and you can take them from beginner and you can take them to highly advanced. However, and as much as I'd love to say, hey, come only train with Bob or come only train with me or with Jacob, you expose yourself to so many other ideas and ways of doing things, instructors that explain just the littlest thing a little bit differently, that suddenly you have that aha, like, you kind of already knew it or you had been taught it, but it just never quite clicked. It sometimes takes kind of getting out of your comfort zone, going somewhere else, sometimes an entirely new environment, and working with a completely different instructor or school to, I think, discover some of those things about you as a shooter.
Right. And one of the great things that where Jeff and Janelle did settle down with Gunsite Ranch and the American Pistol Institute, the weather is beautiful. Yeah. When we're talking about northern Arizona, it's not like in the valley. It's not a bajillion degrees. Yes. It's very comfortable year-round. It is a little warm in the summertime, but that's okay. We need to train in all types of weather conditions. So it's very comfortable. So your training experience, you're not really fighting the environments or the weather or whatnot, which is nice. Yeah. And I believe that that's another reason why he picked that.
Yeah. Now, if it's anything like Flagstaff, because I actually haven't spent any time in Paulton, but I've been in Flagstaff a couple of times. I like it. I like Flagstaff. Yeah. So, all right. That sounds good to me. Yeah. I got to go. All right.
All right, Bob. So here's my question. First class I got to take at Gunsite. If someone's watching right now, they're like, all right, they're on the Gunsite website. They're ready to sign up. Where do they start? What's the first thing they should do?
Yeah, so our bread and butter class is the 250. 250, it's the beginning pistol class. It's not, we do kind of refer to it as a basic pistol class. It's not basic. I'll give you that. And one of the great things about that class is, one of the things that Jeff wanted to do is now teach you all the gun handling skills, the shooting, but then also the biggest thing is our mindset. Mindset is the base of the combat triad. So once you get those three things down, now he's going to put you in simulation. Now you're going to be exposed to putting those three things that you learned on the range for 3 days in simulation. So we have live fire shoot houses and an outdoor simulator. So you get to experience that. A lot of people get a chance to go to the square range. They learn great marksmanship, great gun handling skills, maybe some mindset thrown in there. But when they really get to be exposed to a simulator where you're going to shoot or do not shoot at a target based on your discretion, and now you're thinking about that and you're trying to remember all those things that you learned on the range about front sight and pressing the trigger. Yeah, it's really amazing how people revert back to a lot of their original teachings before they even got there. So we really need to ingrain that muscle memory. 3 days probably isn't enough, but that's a great way to start. So the 250 pistol class is kind of our bread and butter or our base class. Again, it brings us brings our students up to par with all of our terminology and the way we do things on the range, mechanics.
Yep.
And so from there, there's shotgun classes, there's carbine rifle classes. We have advanced pistol, advanced shotgun rifle. They just did just this last couple days. People are watching them on Facebook. They did a lever action class. So if eventually the evil black gun goes away, maybe we're going to be going to lever guns. And, so they exposed
which is still an effective weapon.
Absolutely,
can be shot quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's not the end of the world.
Yep. Exactly. So just a lot of great things going on there. Like I said, it's the oldest one there. We just had our 40th anniversary a couple years ago. Looking forward to having our 45th anniversary. 45 is kind of a key thing at Gunsite. If people are understanding that, that's a great point.
Wow, amazing.
Yep.
So, Bob, let's talk about give us an example of one thing the Gunsite is famous for, something like a technique or something that you teach at Gunsite that's pretty unique there.
Yep. So,
do you mind if I kind of I want to hear the answer to that question, but I'm going to maybe have you start with. We hear this terminology, the modern technique,
right?
Sure.
And I'm sure some viewers out there have heard that. What is the modern technique?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's exactly where I was going to go with the answer. So really the modern technique is broken down into 5 parts. The first part is the fighting stance. We believe that the fighting stance is the basis of being able to get good hits on target. Yeah. So it starts with the fighting stance. Next is the presentation, getting your gun from wherever you're starting to on target. The next is the flash sight picture. We believe in using your sights. I've been to some schools where they advocate that you don't need to use your sights, you can't use them. I've had an opportunity to teach people, Denver police officers specifically. I debriefed them and I said, did you see your sights in your gunfight? And they said, absolutely yes. So those people that say you cannot see your sights, they don't know. Because we actually are able to teach people to see their sights. So the flash sight picture is there. Next one is the surprise, compressed surprise break. Getting your pistol to go bang, we want it to be a surprise or unanticipated. A lot of us have a nice trigger jerk. I've mastered the trigger jerk, so I'm good at that. But so what we want to do is we want to compress the time that surprise break occurs. And then the last one is a good duty pistol. So I like to end with that is people have said, well, I have to take a 1911 when I go to Gunsite. That is not true. We'll take any good medium, large frame duty pistol. Some of my good friends as police officers, the first time they went to Gunsite in the early 80s, they were taking revolvers because that was their duty pistol. So Jeff worked with those guys, and they became very good gun handlers with their revolvers. Then, obviously, the military picked up the Beretta 92FS, the M9. We had lots of Marines and soldiers and sailors coming through the class, bringing that double single-action gun. Police officers, very popular, the SIG classic line, double single-action. So Jeff devised the techniques for them to trigger cock to be able to get that first round off. The striker fire guns, I know Jeff had always poo-pooed them. Striker fire guns are very popular coming to Gunsite. He even made a comment years ago that the combat Tupperware won the shoot-off again this week. So even he had to recognize that there was a new
trend,
not necessarily a trend, but a new design pistol coming out. And I'm a big fan of striker fire guns, love them, carry them for personal protection now. I carried a 1911 as a police officer. Today I'm carrying striker fire guns because I just really like what they bring to the table. All the manufacturers are making them. They're great guns. They're just great.
Yep.
So you don't have to come to Gunsite with a 1911. So that's always been a stigma.
In fact, you should come with the gun that you're going to carry.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. But again, and I'm a big fan of the shields and the pocket guns and the Glock 43s. Not to give them any credit, but those guns really aren't a good gun to really learn the techniques to become a proficient gun handler. We like medium-sized frames to large frames guns for that class. Outside the waistband holsters, it's not concealed. But the smaller guns do have their place in concealed carry, right?
Yeah.
But that medium-sized, larger frame gun seems to be easier for people to work with when they're learning new techniques.
And what a lot of people don't understand is that skills are skills. They should universally apply across all guns, right? If you are learning correctly, if you are being taught correctly, then the skills you're learning for shooting, you should be able to pick up any gun and shoot it.
Correct.
And so I think that a lot of people kind of get wrapped up in this. Well, but I carry the LC whatever, and you don't want me to bring that to the class. It's like, well, we're going to have a harder time teaching the skills if you bring that gun to the class.
Correct. Yeah, we want you to be successful.
Yeah.
Right.
So to be successful, getting a little bit larger gun, then of course LCPs are great guns.
Sure,
Pocket guns are great guns. But again, by carrying or coming to class with that medium, large frame gun, you're going to be more successful. Longer sight radius, bigger grip for your hand and whatnot. So
some of it, frankly, can just be logistics. I mean, we don't say you can't bring some of those micro guns to our classes, but we kind of say it's discouraged. I mean, like, think about with a Glock 43, 6
How
or
often
7
are you
round
going to be
mag.
reloading? Yeah.
I mean, you better bring like 20 mags.
Right.
And you're going to be reloading all the time because of the volume of fire.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And again, if you want to come with a 45, there's lots of platforms out there making great 45s. The XDs, obviously, the SIG P20, P220, Smith & Wesson, they're making a 45 with their striker fire gun, the M&P.
Yep.
So 45 is always kind of a big thing. I know there's been a big debate on the interweb about the 45 and the 9, and
teach their own, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with my buddy Rob on that one.
Let that one be.
Yeah. So, Bob, tell us a little bit about Prevail and things that you're doing there.
So what we're doing in Prevail, it's a conglomeration, and I have to really give a lot of credit to my partner, Steve Hendricks. Steve Hendricks and I are both Gunsite range masters. Again, we've been there for both of us for over 25 years. In fact, Steve is here now.
Hey, Steve.
Yep. So we have to I got to give him a lot of credit for this. So the Prevail program we recognize that a lot of people don't have the money and the time and the efforts to go to the greatest gun school in the world. So we actually built this up for Colorado residents, basically. And then we actually wanted to take it to the next step because we didn't want to necessarily focus on the end user. We wanted to focus on instructors. We feel that the more instructors, great instructors that are out there, are going to make great shooters.
Sure.
So the Prevail Concealed Carry class is actually an instructor development class. We bring people in that are instructors and really teach them how to be better instructors. Anybody can, well, I shouldn't say anybody, any devoted person can go to the certification classes, either here with USCCA or the NRA or any other organization that has a instructor certification class. But now what we want to do is we want to make you the best instructor possible. You can't be an apprentice at the local union with pipe fitters and then be the master pipe fitter the next day.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is we want to make you the master instructor through our program. So it's a pretty intense 5-day program teaching guys really a lot of things. Again, a lot of the things that we learned over 30 years, 60 years of experience on being an instructor. We try to take as much as we can give a guy over a 5-day period and make him the best instructor he can be. So now that he can go out to his local area, wherever that is, and people can come to him and they're actually getting high quality instruction from that guy.
Yeah.
Or that girl.
That's
Sure.
right.
Sure.
Yep.
And you got a booth here at the show.
Yep.
I know we're kind of at the tail end of the show, but if anyone happens to be watching, on site, most likely, you might have a few minutes to get on just down the aisle from us here and go say hello to Bob and Steve at the Prevail booth. Anything, just as we're kind of getting close to wrapping up here with you, just whether it's something you're passionate about or you just want to get out there, the time is yours.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, I'm glad you gave me that.
Pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
That's on here. Drop the ball. Yeah.
So really we believe that concealed carry is a lifestyle. For the average person who wants to get involved in concealed carry, it's a lifestyle. Changing your habits, changing your mindset, changing the clothes that you wear, changing the places where you go or where you may meet other people or whatever the case may be. So it's a lifestyle. We believe that you can't go to the gun store, buy a gun, maybe shoot 5 or 6 rounds through it, slap it on your hip, and walk down the street with it. My partner Steve comes from a martial arts background. People don't walk into a dojo and walk out Bruce Lee in a 1-hour class.
Yeah.
So it's a lifestyle. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to start a culture with our Prevail instructors that they encourage their students to come back once a week to learn new skills as you would going into your dojo.
Yep.
Steve wrote a great article on what belt are you. In the martial arts world, a lot of us who might be there, I'm not there, understand that, oh, I'm a blue belt or I'm a white belt or I'm an orange belt. And people recognize, oh, you have accomplished a certain level with that skill or with that discipline. We'd like to think to bring that same idea to the firearms industry so that now you can say, hey, I've reached this level of competency, I've done these tests, and now I've reached this level, call it a belt or a coin or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Again, it's a lifestyle, the way you talk, walk, present yourself, the things that you carry. We're really passionate about everyday carry. Every day I carry my pistol. Every day I carry a spare magazine.
Yep.
Every day I carry a knife. Every day I carry a flashlight. Every day I carry a personal trauma kit for me. Okay. Yep. If you're going to be serious about your own protection and your family's protection, again, we believe that you are your family's first responder. Something we learned here from the USCCA with Michael Martin. To coin a phrase from him. To coin another phrase from a good friend of mine, Dave Spalding, he says, be an active participant in your own rescue. So we are our family's first responder. We need to be actively participating in protecting ourselves, putting together that personal protection plan. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to hear you guys talk about that, but that's exactly the mindset that we have to have.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to tell the world has changed. And if you think that you're going to call the police and the police are going to be there to save you, you are wrong. Being a retired police officer, I can tell you 5 to 13-minute response to your emergency is more than a lifetime.
Yeah.
So we all have to be actively participating in keeping ourselves safe and our families safe and to having that correct mindset. Again, that's the basis of what we teach, the foundation of what we teach at Gunsite. Lots of mindset ideas out there. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about the color code. That's a great way to express that level of awareness.
Sure.
So that's a great way. So if I was to bring anything to the table here, as I just want to really impress upon the people, as American citizens, as law-abiding American citizens, we need to think about our own safety and take all the precautions and all the tools that I can carry to maintain my safety and the safety of my family.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you just packed a lot in the last couple minutes there of your final, we'll call that your final statement. You know, you rest your case. There was a lot of really great content packed into a short, a few amount of words in a short amount of time. So,
well, thanks. I appreciate that.
Bob, thank you so much for joining us on the stage here today. I hope it's been a good show for you. I know we've had just an amazing time here. And look forward to doing it again next year, perhaps in Pittsburgh.